We're less than a month out from the long-awaited Five Nights at Freddy's movie. But wait, hold on. There's an issue here. We've got all of these promo posters for the main cast of animatronics, but not one for the main villain? Well, today, let's go ahead and fix that. So what's a William Afton poster without the man himself? There aren't many shots of him just yet since the movie obviously isn't out, so I'll take this screenshot of the trailer and with a wave of my quick selection brush, I'll cut him out. The office that Mr. Afton, or Steve Raglan, is sitting in from the trailer just isn't movie poster material. So I'm gonna go the extra mile and put him in a background that's more like the pizzeria office. We'll start by recreating his desk by perspective warping this wooden texture. Then I'll grab a 3D image of a desk and use it as a guideline to place these metal textures in there instead, since the desk in the games and the movie looks like their base is made out of metal. Then I'll drop in a concrete texture for the wall behind him and do a little masking so that they sort of blend together. Next, let's get that classic black and white checkered wall decal we see throughout the series, and I'll give that a red border using a solid color adjustment and some bevel and emboss. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump back to the desk and add in some iconic props that we've seen throughout the series. I'll start with the wearable Freddy head from FNAF 2. Then let's get the nameplate back in from the original desk from the trailer, and we can't just ignore that the telephone cord is just going to nowhere, so I'll drop in this 3D model of an old telephone and get rid of the phone attached since Willie already has that phone in his hand. And a little puppet warp will help fix the connection between the phone cord and the cradle base. Don't worry, this term is before my time too. Oh, and come on, we can't have a FNAF desk without the iconic metal fan. So in FNAF lore, there's always a mysterious backroom that's related to the evil doings of Mr. Afton, so I'll drop in this door and door frame to add more depth. And I also have an idea for what can be showing in the doorway, but we'll get to that a little bit later. For the last thing for the overall composition, I want to add in these 3 drawings from the original games. So I'll go ahead and place those on the wall together in a little cluster, and I'll add some paper on the desk just to clutter it up a little bit like the desk in the trailer. Bear with me, as I know this looks questionable, but don't worry, we're going to blend everything together using shading and color correction in just a second. So what's the first step? Let's use some exposure magic to turn off those lights. I decided that I'm going to have 2 lights in our scene, one coming from the back room and one coming from an overhead to match Afton's lighting from the original trailer. These 2 spotlight overlays I picked out should work perfect for now. I'll dim the overhead light down just to get some of that evil foreboding light. Then I'll turn the backroom light the purple magenta color that the original posters have. My overall goal here is to match the vibe of the official posters, but introduce my own style and composition. Now that we have a reference of light, I'll start painting the purple highlights on Afton coming from his right side. Some of the props need that correct lighting too, so I'll paint some purple on the phone as well. I'll also turn on this red light. Maybe Phone Guy does exist in this FNAF universe, and left a message, who knows. Let's paint in some overhead lighting on the Freddy head, and to add in some spookiness, I'll paint in a faint light that's coming from the eye socket. Alright, that looks super cool, and even sort of references the red eyes from the movie. For the last lighting touches, I'll add some shadows on the rest of the props on the desk so they don't look like they're just floating. I'll finally add in Afton's fake identity on the nameplate, quickly swap out the stack of papers for a more messy pile of mail, and fix up the doorway to make it look 3D and have the same purple highlights. So here's something I find strange. The marketing material for the movie seems to not want to reveal that Steve Raglan is William Afton, who is also Spring Bonnie, who we've seen many times in the trailer. Maybe it's to keep the mystery, or for folks maybe who aren't familiar with the series, maybe they're trying to keep the surprise. In any case, I'm gonna call an executive artistic decision here, and what we're gonna do is put the empty Spring Bonnie suit lurking in the doorway. There are 0 angles of this suit in the position that I'm imagining. So to use some real out-of-the-box thinking here, I'll boot up an old favorite video game of mine called Gary's Mod. Luckily, I found this great Spring Bonnie model that I can download and arrange into this position. A huge thank you to Ruthor Borganor for having this model available for download. That is a mouthful of a name. I'll use this model as a reference to draw a rough sketch of the Spring Bonnie suit using some texture and shading trickery. We'll make the head, the torso, and the arms, and give the correct shading to simulate 3D. Add in the teeth, and those big long ears. Okay, stay with me now. I know this looks questionable, but I really only need these pieces because most of it will be hidden by shadows and smoke. Alrighty, let's drop them in behind the door. and fade him into the void. Then, to add more depth, I'll paint in some of that smoke from the official posters leaking out of the doorway, and also some particles. That should hide Spring Bonnie just enough so it's not too distracting. Let's finalize the poster by adding every graphic designer's best friend. You guessed it, it's noise. I'll also throw on a camera raw filter to make some of those colors pop and the shadows moodier. And for the cherry on top here, I'll throw in the FNAF logo and the name of the man himself right at the top, Matthew Lillard. And just like that, we have a proper teaser poster for the live-action purple guy. That is absolutely bizarre to say. I know I'll be watching the chaos that unfolds on October 27th, and I'm hoping it lives up to the wait. Until then, thanks for watching and happy October.